Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. Happy awesome Saturday to you. It is awesome Saturday. This is the Sabbath. This is the day of rest. The seventh day, the one that God declared to be holy. And we are here to really enjoy it, to enjoy the company of each other, and to dive into the more spiritual side of the wake up call. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. It is wonderful to see everybody on come tuning in on Facebook, and it also looks on on YouTube as well. Anyways, yeah, so we're here. Saturday is awesome. You are awesome. I am awesome. We are awesome people. And the topic today, we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about freedom and how freedom exists and comes in through fellowship. So let's have some fun. Let's get into the service today. Um, but the fact of the matter is, it is July 4th weekend, and being July 4th weekend, we got a whole bunch of people celebrating independence in the United States, and a lot of other countries tie their independence to the independence of the United States. When the United States broke away from Great Britain, which was at the time the dominant world power, it inspired a lot of other countries to decide to do the same thing. And so, the United States independence actually spawned quite a few other independence movements uh, over the um, over the years. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of people are focusing today on independence and that rugged American ideal. What that really means. But the fact is that even as we are celebrating independence today, the world itself is more dependent than we've ever been. Internationally, we have all manner of different trade agreements that bring all the stuff to us that we could never really figure out how to create on our own. You know, when I was younger, I went over to I went down to Costa Rica, and one of my dreams was to live a more independent lifestyle. And let me tell you, I discovered that independence is very hard because all of the things that we take for granted when we are dependent on others, we have to bring into our own world. We have to make for ourselves. But anyways, that not only are we dependent or interdependent because of how a global economy works, more and more we are digitally dependent. We're surrounded by little green or by little glowing rectangles. I'm sure that you have one in your pocket. You might be watching this on one of those right now. We're surrounded by tiny little screens that tell us everything that we want to hear and that provide us with all the dopamine that we could imagine. We have hundreds and hundreds of online friends, but does having hundreds of online friends, does that translate to people showing up when it really matters? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, depending on how we use the services. But the fact of the matter is that we are very much digitally dependent. And so, the social feeds that brought you this message, because this message is currently being served on YouTube and also on Facebook. An algorithm brought you this message. An algorithm said, "Oh, you probably want to listen to this. I'm going to feed this to you to keep you on the platform for a little bit longer." An advertiser, a sneaky third party, has actually brought me to you today, unless you were actively seeking me out. And so, the fact is that those social feeds, they're not designed for fellowship. They're designed for a false comfort. They're designed to give a dopamine hit. They're designed to keep us on the platform so that we continue to consume the advertising. That's the goal of these algorithms. And so, as we as we retreat more and more into our little glowing rectangle, there's been this erosion of social skills. So, AI is tailoring our conversations. AI is telling us, or is choosing to surround us with other people who are very similar to us. Again, so that we can stay on the platform, so we can feel like we're wanted, like we belong, we're in a place that we need to be. And so, as we as we dive deeper into the news feeds, which more and more often define us. Good morning, Tony. Wonderful to see you today. But as we dive deeply into these news feeds, which are designed to give us these quick hits of dopamine, it gives us this false comfort. It gives us this idea that this whole world is surrounded, or that we are surrounded in this world by people who look like us and act like us and think like us, and that everybody who doesn't think like us is an absolute moron, which of course, again, erodes our social skills, because I haven't met two people who believe the same thing about everything. The more people talk, the more opportunity that there is for us to find something that we are not in agreement about. And so there's no depth in these social feeds. They are, in mathematical terms, what's called a greedy algorithm. And I don't mean that they're greedy because that they're run by greedy corporations. A greedy algorithm is a mathematical term. It basically means that a, a an algorithm, and specifically the algorithm that chooses what to serve you in a social media context, that algorithm is designed to, it's designed for short-term gains. It's designed to give you a dopamine hit right now. It's not designed to necessarily grow you or develop you. It's designed to give you dopamine. And so therefore social media feeds, while they hold this promise of giving us all this amazing satisfaction, ultimately never really deliver. How many times have you gotten lost in a rabbit hole on the internet and not retained any of the knowledge? Thought that you were getting something useful and valuable, and then at the end of it, been like, I just was in a rabbit hole for 5 hours, and do I really remember anything that I watched or anything that I read? It's happened to me. It's one reason why I've turned off my social media feeds. And so, as we do like dive into these things, we forget how to deal with human unpredictability. AI is tailoring our conversations by giving us other conversation partners who are more alike to us than different from us. However, if you get into a room with real people, very quickly discover that there are different opinions in the room, and we have to respectfully disagree with each other. And really, that's what society is built on. Human connection, all human achievement is built on the idea that there are competing ideas, and that the best ones will rise to the top and ultimately be proven true, through their application. However, social media feeds will give us this illusion that whatever we think, that everybody else around us only thinks that thing. It's only going to serve us editorials that agree with us. It's only going to connect us with other people who agree with us. It's going to suggest groups full of other people, full of echo chambers that agree with us. And then we are going to erode our social skills, and we've already found it. We've in the business world, and we found it in the social world, even in the church world. We have found that it is very difficult to have real life conversations with people who would really rather have these same conversations over text message. And so I found that even when I'm in public, just 2 or 3 days ago, I was at the dentist, and I looked around the dentist office, and literally everybody except me and my wife and my baby were on their cell phone, even if the cell phone wasn't turned on. Even if the cell phone was a blank screen, they were all staring at their cell phone, every single one of them. That includes that includes all the people that includes all the people in the waiting room, and even when they weren't serving anybody, that includes the receptionists. And I thought about that. I was like, there are like maybe 15 people in this waiting room right now, and of those 15 people, only 3 of them are not looking at a device right now. And even as I was thinking about that, I got to thinking about my own device, which was in my own pocket, and thinking to myself, I could actually pull out my device right now, and there'd be all kinds of really cool things that I could look at on my device right now that are tailored just for me. Even though I know how it works, even though I know it's shallow, even though I know it's empty, I nevertheless am still drawn to it. The people who aren't aware of how manipulative these devices are have no hope, because they have no hope of getting off the device, because they aren't yet aware of what it's doing. I am aware of what it's doing, and still think to myself, I should get on there. I should do that. It would be like a drug addict saying, "Oh well, I haven't done drugs in a while, but man, I really do like doing some drugs. And let me get on doing that." Of course, that's not healthy at all. And so this whole thing where people are retreating into devices, and this is nothing new. I took a year off of social media maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I encountered the same exact thing. I walked into restaurants and stuff like that, and literally everybody was on their phone. But it is a new development for me that everybody is on their phone, and even if their phone is off, it's still in their lap, just in case it has something to tell them. Even if the screen is not turned on, people are still staring at the screen, which is not turned on. I had this experience many years ago, maybe 20 years ago, where I moved from one house to another house, and I didn't have cable or anything in my new house yet, and so I put my TV where it was going to go, and I didn't plug it in because I wasn't ready for it just yet. And I remember that I sat a chair in front of my TV, which was not plugged in, and I sat down, and that was the most comfortable chair in my house. It wasn't comfortable because the chair itself was the most comfortable. It was the most comfortable because the TV had, until that point, been my primary source of dopamine. Even though the TV wasn't plugged in, simply sitting in front of the TV had this wonderful sedative effect on me. When I realized this, I decided that I wasn't going to watch TV anymore, and that was the last time that a TV was ever plugged in my house. And so eventually I got rid of that 32-inch TV that I had bought for so much money, and was so proud of, back in the gosh, the mid '90s. And so, the fact is that I recognized it back then with a television. I recognize it now with the things that we call phones, the little mini computers that we keep in our pockets. The unpleasant reality is that because we are so connected on the internet, and we're so atrophied in our ability to connect in real life, that we we have outsourced our Rolodex. When my dad ran his business, he told me that, he said, the heart of any business is the Rolodex. He said, the connections that I've made over the years, I know that I can call this person and get this thing done. If I don't know how to do it myself, I have a group of people that I can call. And he had a Rolodex with several hundred cards in it. And some of those cards, some of those people he called all the time, and some of those people he called but once, once a year or once a decade. The fact is that he knew how to, he knew what kind of a, hey, how's it going there, Wade? Thank you, sir. He knew what kind of a, I've been visited by the magical Wade. He knew what type of a, he knew what call to make. And so, in the end, as we are living our lives in technology, we are also outsourcing. We are outsourcing our Rolodex to somebody else. If the platform goes down, all of our friends go down with it. I was just visited by an actual friend who dropped off actually the cremains of another friend. Interestingly enough, a funny thing to happen on the Awesome Saturday service. I'm actually going to be going down. We have a memorial duck race today, in honor of Jack. He is he, for many years, he ran a duck race for charity, and we are going to be honoring him, and his cremains literally just got dropped off on my floor. So we will be honoring him and interring him in the little stream where where his cremains are, or where he did the ducks. But anyways, the fact is that we are meeting real people in real life and doing real things, and that I literally have the remains of a real person on my floor right now, right in front of me. So in this stuff doesn't happen digitally. This stuff only happens in real life. So let's just talk about that then. I mean, the fact is that I've been asked to deliver a celebration of life, and I'm going to in a couple hours. I'm going to go down to the duck race, and I'm going to introduce a lot of people who've never heard of Jack to Jack, and even have his cremains with me. But the fact is that he built a chosen family, in the community that I live in, and also around all of the community efforts that he did. And so there's going to be a lot of people who don't know anything about this duck race. They don't know why we're raising the money. They don't know why it's called Jack's Duck Race. And I'm going to be able to tell them a little bit about Jack, because I know Jack, and I knew him in person, and I know the impact that he had over the years. And so, in the end, we're going to inter Jack in the little stream where he ran the duck race for so many years. because Jack was very connected with the community that his chosen family, his real biological family had not he was so estranged from his real biological family that literally they didn't even want his remains. His cremains are on my floor right now. They're not in an urn with his family. They're not in a mausoleum somewhere. His family had no interest in him at all, which is kind of crazy to me. But it really underscores this message about how we are, how important it is for us to gather in person with people that believe the same things that we believe, and embrace all of our human flaws. I'm not a perfect person. Neither was Jack, but nevertheless, I was asked to deliver a celebration of life for him, and I'm going to. And even though there are other people who probably knew him better, the fact is that I knew him well enough to be able to do this, and it was an honor to be asked. Whereas his family couldn't be bothered to pick up his remains after he was cremated. It's kind of crazy. So anyways, true independence is chosen community, and the duck race that we're going to be doing here shortly is a duck race that is hosted by a chosen community. So as we celebrate the Declaration of Independence today, as we celebrate the independence of the United States, we have to understand that the Declaration wasn't a declaration of individuality. The Declaration was a collective risk that a lot of people took by poking the largest empire in the world in the eye, and let me tell you, it didn't have to down well. The fact that it did go down well is a testament to the exceptional the fact that America really is founded on exceptional principles. But the founders of this country, they didn't found the country by all retreating into their own private echo chambers. They founded this country, which they decided would be called a more perfect union, not a totally perfect union, just a more perfect union. But they founded the country, based on a series of very heated debates as to like how we should self-organize as a species, and how what a country that's ruled of the people, by the people, and for the people should really look like, because nobody'd done it before. That's where the term American exceptionalism comes from. We were the exception to the rule, insofar as we were the first country to not be founded around the idea of having a king. But so we were meant to be free with these things. We weren't meant to necessarily be free from all this conflict. We were meant to be free with all this conflict. And so freedom from tyranny gave rise to freedom for belonging, freedom for building something with other people, freedom for believing in shared visions. And so in the end, though, the tyranny that we have experienced is not necessarily the tyranny of having a king over us. The tyranny that we have now that we face today is the tyranny of the algorithmic self. The fact that algorithms shape our lives. They're not iron chains; they're digital chains. Isolation is a digital chain. A curated identity is a digital chain. Well, if you believe this, you have to believe that. Or a commodified attention. Your attention is worth more than you are. That's a digital chain. And these are the things that we are. These are the things that we are speaking against today. And so, what are we going to do about it? And in the end, we, on the Sabbath, we hang out with real people in real places. We eat real food. And so let's do that. Let's eat with real people in real places. Let's find some people around us. Maybe you're like me and you're blessed to be surrounded by hundreds of people that you know on a first name basis, and hundreds more that you don't know on a first name basis, but they must be cool if they're hanging around the places that you hang around. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're more isolated. But find at least one person that makes you think. Find at least one person that you enjoy the company of, and break some bread with them. And then let your phone die. You don't need to be looking at those notifications all the time. There's people who are sitting in the dentist's office with their phones with the screens turned off, but they were staring at them anyway. Were waiting for a notification. They're waiting for their phone to tell them something. They were waiting for their phone to tell them who they are. And so why don't we just like let our phones die down so that our spirits can recharge today? And let's practice some of that grace that I think as a society we have kind of forgotten how to give each other. That awkward grace that we don't expect a seamless connection with other people. We can, however, expect humanity. we can expect that whether we agree with them on everything or not, and most likely not, that we can respect the fact that they are just like us, real human beings. And let's rebuild our Rolodex in flesh and in bone. Just like my dad had his Rolodex, and he said he lived or died based on that Rolodex. Let's trade some screen time for some FaceTime, and let's stop outsourcing all of our friendships to social media, and begin having real friendships with real people in real places, gathering together in community fellowship, so that we can not necessarily need to have 100 friends. We just need to have a couple who will show up when we make the call. So fellowship is the forge where freedom becomes real. And without each other, we're not independent. We are alone. And so let's understand that there's a difference between independence and aloneness, and let's strive to be truly independent by having those connections that matter, and by being able to make the calls that matter when they matter. All right, guys, I have another event to prepare for. I'm going to be going and doing a celebration of life for Jack, and kind of doing a little bit of emceeing a duck race. We're going to send a bunch of ducks down the stream, bunch of little rubber duckies down the stream for charity. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to introduce people to a guy that they might not know. And yeah, so I got to prepare for that. I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. It sure was funny to have his cremains dropped off in my living room while I did the wake up call, or while I did the awesome Saturday service. How funny that is. But anyways, guys, I love you. I care about you. I appreciate you. Happy awesome Saturday. Let's remember that we are awesome, and so let's recognize our inherent value and worth. The fact is that we all of us are on this planet for just a very short period of time in the cosmic sense of things. Let's really make it worth it. Let's love the people around us. Let's respect the people around us. Let's respect the fact that they're different than us and that we can love them anyways. And ultimately, the truth will always rise to the top because it's the truth. There's a saying in Buddhism: there are three things which cannot be hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. And the truth will set us free, but it might piss us off first, at least according to Gloria Steinem. So I'll talk to y'all on Monday at 9 a.m. I'll be back with more wake-up calls. I've enjoyed my week off. It's time to get back into it. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Yeah, and I will talk to y'all on Monday at 9 a.m. Until then, aloha from paradise.